Hello and welcome to the Self-Love and Pleasure podcast, a podcast to help you unlock your deepest love and pleasure potential for an orgasmic life, to be and live pleasure-lit. Hi, I'm Patricia, the Australian Adult Industry Award-winning pleasure and toy queen. I'm a certified sex educator, an adult content creator, tantra practitioner, pleasure toy reviewer, and so much more than that. Tune in to be inspired and empowered on your self-love and pleasure journey. I'm going to give you 10 tips on how you can communicate with your partners if you wish to include pleasure toys into your partner play. I get this question quite a lot in my DMs about how can I approach my girlfriend or how can I approach my partner to include pleasure toys. And my number one step is choose the right time. You do not want to approach your partner in a moment while you are currently having pleasure, directly before your pleasure, if you know it's going somewhere, and be like, hey, how about we just include some toys straight away in there? You also don't want to do it when your partner is stressed. So find a moment where you are both relaxed, both comfortable, feeling uninterrupted, and then you can start having that conversation. Tip number 2, be open and honest. Yes, communication. Approach your partner, being open and honest about what you feel, what your desires are, and preferably use I statements such as, I have been thinking about including pleasure toys and tools into our pleasure moments. What do you think about it? Which leads to tip number 3, ask for their thoughts and their opinion, their perspective. So ask open-ended questions, such as I've just done. I am thinking about it, I'm considering it. What do you think about pleasure toys and tools? Have you explored pleasure toys before? What is your opinion about them, your perspective? Maybe, you might be surprised, your partner already has some pleasure toys and tools somewhere for their own pleasure, but because it was never talked about, you don't know about it. So open, honest communication and asking for their opinion is the first step. Share your reasons why you want to include pleasure toys into your partner play. Explain that it can enhance intimacy, pleasure for the both of you. List all the benefits and your exact reasons why you want to include them. Be reassuring though. So when you are sharing your reasons why, you preferably don't want to say, I am not happy with how it's all going, I feel dissatisfied, but rather explain to them that this is a kind of enhancement, that you believe pleasure toys could just make it even better. So not telling them that they are a bad lover, but rather that you want to enhance and widen your pleasure potential. So your partner does not feel threatened or intimidated by including pleasure toys into your partner play. Give them time to process. So when you are approaching them and you are opening up to them, don't expect straight away an answer. Give them time to process that, because you might have thought about that for a long time. For them, it's maybe the first time that they are even considering it, the first time that they've heard it, the first time that they even think about pleasure toys and tools. So let them have some time to process that and just say, hey, think about it. And how about once you're ready, you just reach out and we have this conversation maybe next week again, when you had some time to process and to think about it. So I would like to hear your opinion in a week. Or, like whatever your dynamic is within your relationship. Respect each other's boundaries and limits. So when your partner comes back saying, look, pleasure toys are not my thing, I really don't feel doing it, respect their decision. You don't have to explore things together. You can then go from there. Maybe you can have a chat around how you can include pleasure toys for your own pleasure. maybe you want to explore something just by yourself. So you can open up that conversation by still respecting each other's boundaries and wishes and desires. If you are getting to the point that you are ready and that you do want to approach it, that you want to include pleasure toys in your partner play, then start slow. Choose something that you feel comfortable with, both of you. If you're completely new to pleasure toys and tools, don't go for the big, crazy, kinky stuff. You might want to start with something that does not look very intimidating, or could be something with lots of features and overwhelming. Start slow with your exploration, and then you can start build up. Which also leads me to the next point of exploring together. Choose something that you both might desire. So if you are going shopping online, or if you're going into a store, check in with each other. What kind of preferences have you got in regards to materials, features, budget, colors, appearance, whatever it is? Try to find something that both of you like. If you can't do this, maybe each of one of you chooses one, but checking in with the other if they are comfortable as well with this to try. Because if you're choosing something that neither of you is going to be on board with, it's just gonna make it a really negative experience, and then your pleasure toy experience will be over before you know it. And finally, tip number 10, keep communicating and checking in with each other. Only because you have decided 2 months ago that you are both agreeing you want to explore pleasure toys doesn't necessarily mean 2 months later you're both still 100% on board of this. After you have experienced some sessions, some pleasurable fun with each other, including some toys, check in with each other. How was that for you? How was that for you personally, but also for your partner? Is that something that you want to continue to include? Do you maybe want to go with something else? So many possibilities. So that's why it's really, really important to check in with each other and then really explore by really respecting each other's boundaries, limits, but also desires and fantasies. You can experience so much pleasure together, and this can really enhance your intimacy. And finally, there is no right and wrong. So these are just really some tips, steps, how you can approach it. But all of this really depends on your relationship to each other, your dynamic, and your own preferences, likes and dislikes. Now, if you are on board and you want to explore the pleasure toys and tools, I can highly suggest you go check out my pleasure toy blog at selflovepleasure.com for some inspiration. You can check out my favorite pleasure toys. You can also download my free pleasure toy ebook guide, which will provide you with the basics around how to choose your toy and how to care for your toy. And when you are keen to really go in more depth about pleasure toys, to really unlock your deepest pleasure potential and widen it, then you can join my Pleasure and Toy School, where you will learn so much more in depth on how to use certain toys and how they really can enhance your pleasure potential. You can also join my pleasure content page, Pleasure Toy Queen, if you would like to see more of me and my personal pleasure toy exploration journey. On my website, you can also find some discount codes when you are going ahead to choose a new pleasure toy, which can help you to save and help me to provide more content for you. With love and pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast episode. Please leave this podcast a review. Make sure you follow and subscribe to my podcast, and you share it along so we can spread the word and help others on their self-love and pleasure journey. With love and pleasure. Mwah!